That day, standing outside the grand gates of Westminster Manor, amidst the usual commotion, I had a feeling something was about to happen. Maybe it was the monotony of the same routine day after day, or maybe it was the unchanging stance of the Royal Sentinel, his crimson uniform gleaming in the sun, that made me suspect something was about to shift. As usual, tourists were vying for the perfect photo. Kids were giggling and daring each other to provoke a reaction, and the occasional daredevil was testing the limits of the guard's famous composure. But today, chaos had a face. Barry, a burly, round-faced American, stumbled onto the scene like a loose cannon. His belly strained against his too small floral shirt. Sweat beaded on his brow. His shirt hung open, revealing the tank top beneath it. A red baseball cap emblazoned with "Freedom First" sat askew on his unruly hair. In one hand, he clutched a near-empty bottle of cheap rum, a ticking time bomb of bad decisions swaying with each step. "All right, people, gather round," Barry hollered, his loud voice cutting through the crowd's noise. "Watch me crack this guy. No way he's real. He's like some kind of mannequin." Tourists turned toward the commotion, cameras and phones at the ready, recording every moment of this unfolding spectacle. The Sentinel remained unshaken, his face a mask of stoic indifference. Yet, deep down, I had a feeling he was thinking, "Another American?" Barry swaggered closer, his movements exaggerated and uneven. The strong fumes of rum wafted from his bottle as he waved it dramatically near the Sentinel. "Come on, mate. You need a little drink." "Lighten up," Barry laughed, his slurred words carrying a misplaced sense of confidence. The crowd watched in a mix of disbelief and anticipation, their attention locked on the absurd scene. A mother pulled her child closer, whispering, "Is he serious?" A teenager nearby urged a friend, "Get this on video. This is gold." Phones rose in unison, capturing every reckless step Barry took. "You're no fun," Barry said, his voice dripping with mock disappointment. Then, with all the flair of a man whose life was a stage, he pointed at the Sentinel's rifle. "What's this? It's not even real, I bet. Let me check it out." The air around the crowd seemed to tense. A ripple of murmur passed through the onlookers as Barry leaned forward, his sweaty fingers inching toward the polished weapon. The unspoken boundary had been crossed, and everyone watching knew it wouldn't end well. The Sentinel didn't move, his body as still as stone, yet the tension in the air was palpable, thick enough to silence the murmurs and stifle laughter. Barry, oblivious to the warning signs, seemed to take the silence as encouragement. The crowd grew louder, their reactions a blend of horrified whispers and barely contained laughter. A young man muttered, "What's he thinking?" while a woman gasped audibly, clutching her chest. Barry, however, was in his element, soaking in the attention as though he were the star of a hit show. Barry decided to up the ante. He broke into a lopsided march, his legs flailing in awkward, uneven steps. "Sir, yes, sir," he barked, snapping into a sloppy salute. The crowd chuckled uneasily, some unable to look away as Barry stumbled mid-step, barely catching himself before crashing to the ground. The Sentinel's face betrayed no emotion, his eyes fixed straight ahead. But inside, a single thought remained. One more move, and it's over. Barry, emboldened by the laughter of the crowd and the camera lenses pointed his way, stepped closer to the Sentinel. "If you're not going to hand it over," he announced with mock authority, "I'll just take it myself." With all the misplaced confidence of a man determined to be the center of attention, he reached out, his fingers grazing the smooth barrel of the rifle. At that precise moment, the Sentinel made a single, deliberate step forward. It wasn't dramatic, just a measured, calculated move, but the effect was electric. A wave of gasps rippled through the crowd. A crying toddler suddenly went silent, and even a bird mid-flight seemed to hesitate, as if sensing the shift in the atmosphere. Barry froze in place, the bravado draining from his face faster than the rum fumes around him. His grin twisted into a nervous smirk as he stumbled back, stammering, "Whoa, whoa, buddy, No need to get all royal on me." The crowd burst into laughter, their phones still capturing every second of the scene. But behind the chuckles was a shared understanding. Barry had gone too far, and the situation had officially crossed into uncharted territory. With the precision of someone trained to handle every brand of foolishness imaginable, the Sentinel's voice cut through the air like a blade. "Step back." The words landed with such force that Barry jerked as though struck. His hand shot up, and the rum bottle wobbled precariously in his grip. The crowd cheered, a mix of relief and sheer delight at witnessing the rare verbal response from the usually silent guard. "It talks!" Barry exclaimed, trying to mask his shock with humor. He chuckled nervously, but the confidence was gone, replaced by a growing awareness of the situation's gravity. The shift in power was undeniable, and even Barry could feel it. The Sentinel didn't flinch. With a slight tilt of his head, he delivered a glare so intense it seemed to pierce through Barry. It wasn't loud or theatrical, but the unspoken message was clear. "Do you really want to test me further?" Barry, now visibly sweating, raised his free hand in mock surrender. All right, no harm done, my guy. Just having a little fun," he mumbled, trying to sound casual. But as he began backing away, his clumsy retreat betrayed his nervousness. His untied shoelace caught under his own foot, and what happened next unfolded in agonizing slow motion. Barry's arms flailed wildly as he tried to regain his balance. The rum bottle flew from his hand, spinning through the air before crashing onto the cobblestones. And then, with a resounding thud, Barry hit the ground flat on his back, a splash of dark liquid spreading across his floral shirt, soaking it in a whiskey stain that mirrored his bruised ego. The crowd erupted into raucous laughter, some wiping tears from their eyes. A man near the front chuckled, poetic justice right there, while a young girl giggled. That's what happens when you mess with the guards. From his awkward position on the ground, Barry weakly raised a hand in a feeble attempt to reclaim his dignity. "Don't worry, y'all, I'm fine. Freedom forever," he called out, slurring slightly. The crowd howled even louder, their phones capturing every embarrassing second of Barry's impromptu performance. By now, it was clear this moment would live on as internet gold. Unfazed, the Sentinel returned to his exact position, moving with a kind of mechanical precision that underscored his unshakable professionalism. He didn't need to smirk or even blink. His silence was the loudest statement of all. Barry struggled to his feet, wiping the whiskey off his shirt to no avail. As he turned to leave, a police officer appeared on the scene. She was a stern woman in her 50s, her posture rigid and her expression leaving no room for negotiation. "Sir," she began firmly, "I'm going to have to ask you to leave the premises immediately." Barry, still nursing his wounded pride, tried to argue. Hey, it's just a joke. I didn't hurt anyone. This is, public property, right?" The officer didn't flinch, her gaze steady. "And you're publicly intoxicated while harassing a royal sentinel. Move along, or we'll have to take this further." Defeated, Barry muttered under his breath and shuffled away, his shoes squelching against the cobblestones. The crowd clapped and cheered as he disappeared into the distance, their appreciation directed at the sentinel, who had returned to his duty as though nothing had happened. "He's like a superhero," one kid shouted. Meanwhile, the sentinel resumed his unflinching vigil, a living testament to composure and discipline. Around him, the crowd began to disperse, but the moment remained etched in their minds and on their social media feeds for years to come. As the crowd dispersed, their laughter and whispers fading into the afternoon air, the sentinel remained rooted, a steadfast symbol of tradition and professionalism. His composure, untouched by the chaos, stood in sharp contrast to Barry's humiliating retreat. Videos of the spectacle were already spreading, immortalizing the drunk tourist's folly. But for those who witnessed it firsthand, the real takeaway wasn't just Barry's tumble. It was the quiet power of the Sentinel's poise. A single step, a few words, and an unyielding presence were all it took to turn chaos into order. And with that, the day continued, calm and undisturbed. Witnessing that event, being there in person, was fascinating. Join in experiencing unforgettable moments. Subscribe to my channel to see more of these historical and memorable moments. Let's capture more unique memories together. Subscribe now.